Lone Women is a horror novel set mostly in 1915 Montana. Adelaide and her steamer trunk travel to the state's vacant countryside outside of the tiny town of Big Sandy to homestead and take ownership of the land. She must confront the unforgiving setting, and it turns out even Montana isn't far enough to run away from the horrible secrets she brings with her. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy is more of a horror western than this novel, with its infrequent violence wrought by people, the landscape, or occasional supernatural shenanigans. Lone Women starts as a tale of horror and mystery, but slowly turns into something else, less interesting. I like this book more in theory than in execution. The pace is off for me. It starts with a fairly strong conceit. What's in Adelaide's steamer trunk that she had to burn down her old house and flee to Montana? Part of my problem with the premise, though, is that it takes too long to make the reveal, almost all of part 1, yet once it's done, I realized that was pretty much all the book had to offer. Part 2 meanders, detaching from our central character for long stretches at a time, and almost turns into a Thornton Wilder play where there just happens to be a monster stalking in the background. I wouldn't say I was invested in Adelaide's character so much as I had questions about what she was doing and why. When the book starts asking me to care about other characters it just introduced without giving me much of a reason to do so, it strains my willingness to continue, especially when some of those characters take a sudden hard turn into delusion and psychosis. It's not difficult to imagine that the author wrote about a third of the novel and then decided to change its underlying theme. Around the start of the book, readers will have some pretty reasonable questions like, if it's a burden, why is she even bothering to haul the trunk around? When she gets to her homestead, why doesn't she just bury the trunk? In fact, why doesn't she just shove it off the ship and into the ocean on her trip from the California coast to Seattle? I don't think these are pedantic questions, though you are free to disagree. To me, pedantry would be dismissing the book because of some language or historical anachronisms. I don't care as much about that. But I do care that a secondary reveal requires not only for the audience to be kept in the dark about the contents of the steamer trunk, but also for Adelaide to pretty much lie to herself too, since we have access to her thoughts in a way that seems more like a cheat than a twist. The technical writing is fairly solid, and the descriptions of the Montana countryside convey a strong sense of the landscape's scope. If you're looking for proficient sentence-to-sentence writing, you will find it here. What else is like this book? There's Blood Meridian, which is a horrific fever dream of the American West, and widely regarded as one of the best books of the last half of the 20th century. If you want something that leans more supernatural, there is Richard Matheson's novella Shadow on the Sun, and if you're in the mood for full-on fantasy, try Joe Abercrombie's Red Country. Looking for a horror western movie instead? Then watch the gruesome Bone Tomahawk, but wear a poncho to save yourself from the blood splatter. What do you think of Lone Women? Do you have any other horror westerns you'd like to share? Be sure to leave them in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate the channel and want to support it, you know what to do. You can also take a moment to like, share, comment, or subscribe to another creator you enjoy, because those are the only way we can stay alive when faced with the horror of YouTube's algorithm. Until next time, be thankful for good books. Live and be well.